As time goes by, agricultural biotechnology is going to have more and more use of genetic engineering, specifically as we've seen in the BT corn, which is what it does is it allows corn to be able to fight off insects without using pesticides. So I think you're going to see more and more of that. Also, you'll see agriculture make use of trying to improve the sustainability of crops here in the United States through biotechnology.
It'll become more efficient as they are able to breed animals faster, breed plants faster. We used to take, cuttings and crosses and generations of plants to evolve. They're going to be able to do more of that faster. They'll be able to get crops that have higher yields, that'll be more resistant to insects, bacteria. They're also going to be able to genetically engineer plants that have higher protein content, higher mineral content. So if you're feeding underdeveloped countries, undernourished countries, places in Africa and South America where they don't have a lot, if you can engineer wheat and corn that contains all the amino acids and all the essential nutrients that they need, you can kind of help end malnutrition that way.
Why be limited by our imagination, able to think up new kinds of fruits, vegetables, and then again address the needs of an ever-growing population. Basically, a lot of things, for instance, the Flavor Saver tomato, which was a tomato that was able to stay longer on a shelf, the perception by some members of the public was that it was like a Frankenstein made up of other organisms, which in fact was true from the standpoint of different genes being brought in from different organisms, but it was not a Frankenstein by any means. So the public perception was sufficiently negative that it was actually pulled off the shelves. In Europe, GMO foods have a very bad reputation, which I think is unwarranted, because if we want to move forward and be able to feed the ever-increasing numbers of people in the world, we're going to need the support of biotechnology.
People think that somehow if we bioengineer plants or animals, that somehow that's going to have a negative effect on them, when they don't realize that we've been bioengineering animals and plants for centuries. We've just been doing it the slow way, mixing plants and hybridizing. Everybody accepts that as okay. When you do it in a laboratory and speed up the process by altering DNA, somehow they think that that's science fiction and going to cause problems. I think that it'll make food more available. I think we'll be able to make headway into areas where people are malnourished and have higher yields of crops, use up less land, use up less energy because it'll take less land for higher harvest, that kind of thing.
Probably selection may actually increase. I know that we've got some genetically designed fruits and vegetables here in Modesto. The pluot is an example, is produced by Grant Zager in his laboratory, and he's actually been able to offer more variety to the consuming public. So I don't think that variety will go down. I think it'll actually go up.
I don't think that's necessarily true, because that would be like saying that genetically engineering dogs in AKC would mean that we only have 4 dogs and there are hundreds and thousands of varieties of animals. So I don't think that's true. I think it offers opportunities, like we were just talking earlier, pluots and things where you're allowed to mix different kinds of fruits together and get new fruits. So I don't think that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that this will then cause a demand for more biotechnicians, some in research and development, but probably the bulk would be in production kinds of jobs. That's what we're hoping to see attracted to the Modesto area, because we have a strong agricultural base already, a good understanding of agriculture in this area, and we would serve very well as a agricultural biotechnology base for manufacturing of products. Basically, you isolate a gene of interest in an organism that gives a trait that you're interested in. Maybe it's resistance to frost, or resistance to pests, or some other maybe fast ripening. So you get the gene of interest, you know the sequence of it, and then you put that gene into the organism that you're planning on working with, and hopefully get it to develop that trait with no undesirable side effects. So it'd be good to have maybe a fast ripening strawberry that you can get one more crop or two more crops a year, and you don't want to lose the flavor. So you want to make sure that you're balancing both of those things. So you insert the gene, and you get the gene expressed, and hopefully get the traits you want.
Well, if you grow a certain population, it's a population genetics experiment, what it is. You grow a certain population of corn and you isolate the ones that appear to be resistant to insects, in that you inspect them and see which ones the insects have attacked and the ones that haven't, and you isolate the DNA from that corn that hasn't been attacked, and then you can put that gene into into that strain and regrow that population. Basically, you clone that plant. So what you have to do is grow a population, find out the ones that are resistant, and then regrow that plant or clone that plant. You could do the same for inserting genes. You know, if you isolate the gene isolate the DNA from corn, and you want to insert a gene for the amino acids that are missing or whatever nutrients you want, and you could put that into the DNA of the corn, and then genetically engineer the corn to grow and have those nutrients, and then you can clone the corn. I know at Gallo they do a thing where they clone grapes, because once they find a variety that they like the flavor of, they can recreate and clone those. They actually start them on little petri dishes and grow them that way from basically like, you know, plant version precursor cells.
As mentioned before, the flavor saver, the BT corn, which allows us to use less pesticides. Actually, your cornflakes that you're eating every morning probably have some genetic modification in it. We've done some tests in laboratories that I've worked in, and a bulk of the corn that we tested, both in that and corn chips, were all GMO, and they were probably BT corn. Pesticides are often known carcinogens, and anytime we're putting anything into the environment, there's going to be unpredictable effects. You can affect an energy pyramid or a food chain or food web by bringing in pesticides, because you're always going to have issues of overspray, runoff, polluting water, and hitting what are called non-targeted species. So you're going to end up killing maybe good insects, ones that will prey on predators for us, or actually will prey on the undesirable insects, so we end up killing them anyway.
When you go out and you spray a field, you kill beneficial insects as well as killing the bad insects. You also gets into the groundwater, gets into the drinking water. It gets into our food. It's just, you know, you're spraying poison all over, and it can't be good. I mean, just the whole idea can't be good.
There too, you get a situation where, unless you're able to do a longitudinal study and figure out what you're going to have down the road, you could have unforeseen consequences, absolutely.
Crops.
Definitely against ones in Europe, much more, because again, GMO has such a bad rap in Europe. There's just a significant desire on the part of the public not to be involved in GMO. So United States, but the United States also leads in biotechnology. The birthplace of biotechnology is about 90 minutes to the west of us, and so we're a little bit more adventuresome in that respect. That can be a mixed bag because, as you mentioned, unforeseen consequences, and we haven't been doing this long enough to really know where things are going to be in 10, 20, 30 years.